Welcome to Nothing But That B-Ball Talk podcast. I'm Rafique Louison, alongside Louison, breaking down the best basketball news, stats, and everything from college to the pros. Now let's start off by congratulating the Toronto Raptors for winning the 2019 NBA championship. I mean, we're a few months removed, and when you look back at that series, what is going through your mind?
I think it stands out that Kawhi just wrote this crazy story. He got traded to the Raptors, spends 1 year there, brings them their only championship, and they're probably never going to win a championship again. And he just, etches his name in history books. Like, his legacy jumps up tenfold from that. He went from being a guy who was just a really good player on a great team in San Antonio to a guy who wins a championship and a Finals MVP in San Antonio, stopping the Heat from winning 3. Then he goes to the Raptors, you win a championship and a Finals MVP, stopping the Golden State Warriors from winning 3. So his legacy takes up a whole nother notch because of that.
You can't make this stuff up. Kawhi Leonard is obviously one of the top 4, if not best player in the NBA right now.
Yeah.
Because he stopped the Miami Heat three-peat. Sorry to bring that up. And he stopped the Golden State Warriors three-peat.
Glad to bring that up.
You can't make this stuff up. You just can't.
Right.
So don't even think about talking basketball if you predicted Kawhi Leonard's Toronto Raptors is going to lose.
I mean, I definitely predicted that they would win in 6, and they did win in 6, so,
You can't make this stuff up.
Nope.
And you also can't make up everything that happened in the 2019 NBA draft.
Right. But like we said before, it was kind of predictable. We knew Zion was going to go number 1. We knew RJ
Barrett. It's about time the Knicks picked a player that a lot of people are going to make cheers.
Yeah, and also it's a good time. It's a good thing they picked up a guy who wanted to be there before the draft process even started. He was very adamant about the fact that he wanted to be a Knick, and I think he said he spent his off seasons in New York with his family and stuff like that. So it's proud to have a guy that wants to be a proud Knick, and I think he's gonna be good. I don't know if he'll be a superstar. I think that's a bit of a stretch, but I think he definitely has all-star potential.
He's 5 or 6 years away from at least an all-star appearance.
Yeah, I think so too. I think maybe even sooner than 5 or 6 years. I think because
how many
popularity.
Guys that get drafted number 3 end up having successful NBA careers, have at least a few championships.
Yep.
We don't even need to name it. You can just Google it.
Yeah, it's true. 3 is a good spot.
But now that we have talked briefly about the NBA Finals and the NBA Draft, let's get to the most important talk. The 2019 free agency.
Free agency was crazy.
What better way to wrap up the month of July than talk about one of the craziest free agencies we ever seen?
If not the craziest one. Yeah, I think.
We went from Big 3 to NBA duos.
Yeah, true. It changed the entire landscape of the league. Good point.
Making it the most unpredictable NBA duo you will ever see in the NBA history.
Oh, who do you think is the most, out of all the duos who came together this month, because all this stuff happened this month, which one do you think was the craziest? Like, I didn't see that one coming.
Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving going to the Brooklyn Nets.
I'm going to say Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. I never thought that. Okay, I'm not saying they're the best. I think you're right. I think LeBron and AD are the best fit together. But I think Kawhi and Paul, if you told me before July 1st, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are going to be on the Clippers by the end of July, I'd be like, what are you talking about? No way. Paul George just re-signed with the Thunder last offseason, and Kawhi Leonard, why would he go to the Clippers by himself? So I didn't think that was going to happen. So them coming together, I think, was the most surprising. But I think AD and LeBron are the best. I think Kyrie and KD are the second best when healthy.
Yeah, exactly. And I hope that Kevin Durant, I hope he plays this season, but I hope he does not because, I'm glad Kyrie Irving is playing for them because remember when he came to the Boston Celtics? He made Boston an elite team on his own before he got injured and was out for the season.
That's true. A lot of people like to place the blame of their failure on him, but he was there last season too when they were winning. It's just that he got hurt and eventually the young guys took over. And I don't think they did a good job of meshing them together when they brought him and Gordon Hayward back. But I don't think it was his fault necessarily that they were losing. And I don't think that happens in Brooklyn. I think Brooklyn has a different culture in terms of the front office, and they'll fix whatever issues that he might have had with that.
It's crazy because Kyrie Irving grew up wanting to play for the Brooklyn Nets. Well, they were playing for the New Jersey Nets.
Right.
When he was holding that, we had a little baby picture of him holding that New Jersey Nets basketball.
And now he's a Brooklyn Net.
Yeah, that is crazy. He has a chance to do what D'Angelo Russell couldn't do.
Well, I don't say he couldn't.
Not the first round, but win the NBA championship with Brooklyn.
I don't want to say that he couldn't do it. He wasn't given a chance to really do it. I don't know if I said it on the show before, I think part of what made the Nets organization look to get a different point guard besides D'Angelo is I think they're higher on Karis LeVert than they are on D'Angelo Russell. And Karis LeVert and D'Angelo Russell did not play well together. Anytime they were on the court together, it seems like their games just didn't mesh. So I think ultimately they didn't want to invest all the money in D'Angelo. Karis LeVert, I think, is due for contract extension at the end of this season or the next season. And then we got a chance to get Kyrie Irving. You don't pass up on that. He's a legit superstar.
And honestly, I'm glad D'Angelo Russell got traded to the Golden State Warriors. We're going to get more into that later in the show. But you got to admit, you did say that D'Angelo Russell and Kyrie Irving would not make a good duo together.
Nah, they wouldn't. It wouldn't have worked.
So it was pretty smart for the Brooklyn Nets. It was pretty smart. I mean, I am kind of disappointed that D'Angelo Russell had to leave, but you know what? It's for the best.
No, I agree.
Because I know he's going to continue to keep the Golden State Warriors consistent, especially when they go into the new arena this season coming up.
Right. And plus, with Clay being out, they need somebody else there to play alongside Steph. He can take the ball out of Steph's hands. He can do some of the point guard. He can play point guard, allow Steph to play off ball. So actually, I think a lot of people were kind of condemning the move of him going to Golden State. But to me, it made sense. Especially, like I said before, with Clay being out, they needed somebody else they needed another all-star to play alongside Draymond and Steph.
Yeah, and not to mention the fact that they picked up more good players too. And also the Brooklyn Nets, they managed to pick up Wilson Chandler. I mean, I don't even know if it's worth mentioning, but they picked up some good pieces too to fill up the pieces that they've lost.
Yeah, which they didn't lose too much.
I mean, the Nets didn't really lose too many major pieces besides D'Angelo Russell.
Right, they're not like the Lakers who gave up all their young players to get Anthony Davis.
We're going to have to get into that because AD getting traded to the Lakers?
That was crazy. I mean, although we kind of knew it was going to happen at some point in time. This has been mentioned since the trade deadline. But I'm going to say this. I get it. If a player like Anthony Davis is available, you go out there and get him. But I don't believe in giving up your whole entire young player core, your young core, just to get one player. Nah.
LeBron wasn't winning with these guys.
They were fourth in the Western Conference before. Why don't we do people have like short-term memory? Before LeBron gets hurt and the world and the sky starts to fall and everything changed, they were fourth. And they were destroying the Golden State Warriors. Does anybody remember that?
Yeah,
they were killing the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah, they really were.
And they were fourth in the Western Conference. He gets hurt and all of a sudden well, they're not that good. Oh, well, he's washed up. Oh, well, they can't play together. I'm like, the last time we saw all of them healthy on the court at the same time, they were destroying the defending champions.
And they're going to be destroying the defending champions again this season coming up in this matchup.
That much is true.
At least that we know for a fact that LeBron James at 34 going on 35, he's still going to continue to be one of the best players in the NBA right now.
Absolutely.
He might not retire until he's 50 years old like Amy Mutombo. No, not you, Jay. You remember that?
If LeBron plays till he's 50, I would not watch.
Why not?
I don't want to see that. His son will be in the league by then, though. Bronny might be in the league like the next 5 years. So
Bronny and Dwayne Wade's son play in the NBA. Around the same time LeBron's playing in the NBA.
I hope
Would you imagine that type of matchup happening?
I hope LeBron's retired by then.
No.
He did mention that, though.
There are players that played up until their 40s. Vince Carter played up until his 40s.
Played. He's still playing.
He's still playing. He's in his early 40s.
Yeah, but he's also just like going from team to team. LeBron is a certain level. I don't think he's going to play. I don't think he'll stay in the league if he's not playing like, the LeBron that we know. But he did mention that one of his goals is to be able to play in the NBA at the same time that Bronny's playing, so it's possible.
Yeah, it is possible. Yeah. I want to see LeBron take on his own son in the league.
That'd be crazy.
Something that never happened.
That'd be crazy.
That never happened with Stephen Curry and Dale Curry.
It couldn't happen anywhere.
30 years apart.
Right.
Imagine if Dale Curry was playing the league right now.
He'd be terrible. He wouldn't be on a roster.
Oh, man.
He wouldn't be on a roster.
But there's always a big three.
Yeah, that's true.
But that was insane. Another big free agent move we haven't talked about, Russell Westbrook. Going to the Houston Rockets.
That was huge. So the Thunder just overnight totally dismembered their entire team. Paul George goes to the Clippers to join Kawhi, which is going to be crazy to see. But Russell Westbrook going to the Houston Rockets. You know what's really weird about that? The Houston Rockets are all predicated on analytics, like breaking down what makes the most sense, what's the most valuable shot as opposed to the least valuable shot. Russell Westbrook is the analytical total opposite of that. Like, he's not a very good analytical player. He doesn't check out analytically. Yet they traded for him to play alongside James Harden. I think a lot of people are making it seem like Russ is not going to be able to play with James Harden. I don't think that's true. Russ is not a selfish player. He's just too passionate and sometimes gets overzealous. But I don't think he's a Chuck, and I don't think he's truly detrimental to the team. And I think going into the situation, he knows it's James Harden's team. I think they'll be really good, and I think he'll be better than people suspect them to be.
And that's not to get, he's an all-around player. He can pass the ball. He can shoot.
He hasn't been able to shoot in a while.
And let's not forget, he get rebounds. Yeah. Not too many point guards get rebounds the way this guy does. Remember when he had a 20-20-20 game in honor of Nipsey Hussle?
That was crazy.
That game?
That was crazy.
You remember the season where he had averaged a triple-double on his way to his win at MVP?
This season, he's done it 3 straight seasons, has he not? Crazy. But you know what? I think James Harden is really underrated too. I think James Harden, people look at him like he's just some Chuck. He's not. He's a complete player. He led the league in assists one year. Come on. I think they're going to be a good team to watch.
I'm surprised as good as James Harden was last year, he did not pass the record for most total points in the NBA season.
Nah, I mean, come on. Will Chamberlain, nobody's going to pass that.
God rest your soul, was one of the greatest scorers of all time.
If not the greatest scorer of all. Nobody's going to touch his records.
Nobody's going to touch him at all.
The guy averaged 50 points in a season. No one's ever going to do that.
But you know what? If I could think of one player that has a chance to surpass Will Chamberlain's 100-point record in an NBA game, it could be James Harden.
No.
Or it could be Carmelo Anthony if he comes back to the league. Never guys.
Stop it. If there's anybody in the league, which by the way, it's messed up, Melo's not in the league. Melo's a good player. He's a great player. And he's a lot better than a lot of guys who are on rosters. So it's unfortunate the NBA hasn't brought him back. I think if there's any player right now who can score 100 points in a game, I'd have to say it's either Steph or Clay. It has to be somebody with the ability to get really hot really fast.
Exactly.
So it's one of those two guys. Probably Clay.
They do have the ability to get really hot.
Clay could score 50 points in a quarter. Like, he's just a flamethrower. So I think if there's anybody who could do it, it's probably him.
Did you see how much points he scored against the Chicago Bulls earlier last season?
I remember he has a record for most points in the quarter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And not to mention, they both managed to hit at least 13 3-pointers in a regular season game.
Yeah, they're crazy.
And nobody talks about the fact that even though Kevin Durant's not on the Golden State Warriors no more, they can still be one of the biggest problems to the NBA.
No, it's not going to happen.
Oh, man.
Klay Thompson's going to...
Klay Thompson comes back from injury. You're going to see a three-point trio with him, Stephen Curry, and D'Angelo Russell. You're talking about three-point shooting all over the place alongside Draymond Green.
No. So D'Angelo Russell's not that great of a three-point shooter, number one.
Really?
He's not. Number two, so I do think that Klay is going to come back close to 100%. But remember, he's a great defender. He's not going to be able to play that great defense now he has a torn ACL. More likely than not, he's not going to be able to be that good. Kevin Durant was a difference maker in their team. Without him, come on.
They won the championship without him before.
Yeah, because Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love were injured. And everybody else they played before that was injured too. So, yeah, no.
Yeah.
No. I think they'll still make the playoffs. I just don't think they're going to be a contender.
Yeah, you got that right.
Yeah.
But speaking of contenders, who are the winners and losers of this year's NBA free agency?
All right, so the biggest winner of free agency has got to be... that's a tough one. You can go so many different directions. I'll say the Brooklyn Nets.
Yes. Now we agree on something.
Yeah, and
because Brooklyn, with Kevin Durant and Felty, alongside Kyrie Irving, they're going to be one of the biggest teams in the Eastern Conference you ever see.
I actually, that's true, right? But my reason is different. There's only like a handful of actual superstars in the NBA. There's a lot of all-stars, there's a lot of great players, but there's only a handful of superstars, meaning guys who the average person, even if they don't watch the sport, they've heard of that person. And the Nets actually have two of those guys. They have two actual legit superstars, guys who are going to sell jerseys, who are going to sell merchandise, who are going to be in commercials. So in terms of turning the franchise around, I think it was really huge for them to get those two players. Now at the same time, I think the biggest loser of free agency was Kevin Durant. Now hear me out. I think, number one, the Golden State Warriors with him are champions. They're going to always win a championship. So if he had stayed in Golden State, they're going to win another championship. There's no guarantee the Brooklyn Nets win a championship. He was guaranteed to win another championship if he's healthy in Golden State. Number two, When he first made a decision to join Kyrie and go to the Nets, that first 1 or 2 days, it was like, well, as soon as he's healthy, the Nets guaranteed they're going to win a championship. They're the best team. But then what happened is it caused a domino effect. So he went from being hands down, the favorites to win, to now all these other teams who were sitting around like, oh, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving went to the Nets. We got to do more, as our house phone rings. We got to do more. So the Rockets go out and they get Russell Westbrook. So then the Clippers go out and they get Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. So then the Lakers go out and they get Anthony Davis. So now everything changes, and you're looking at the league where Kevin Durant going to the Nets caused all this stuff to happen, right? Yeah. So he went from being almost guaranteed a championship to now it's going to be crazy. There's no guarantee the Nets win a championship.
You're coming out of the Eastern Conference at one point.
There's no guarantee.
I know for a fact that if I ever say that the Eastern Conference is weak, you're going to be like, no, the Eastern Conference is not weak. It's not weak. You have so many great teams in the Eastern Conference. You got the Philadelphia 76ers. You got the Boston Celtics with Kemba Walker. You got the Toronto Raptors still. Even though they don't have Kawhi Leonard no more, they're still relevant. And you also have the Milwaukee Bucks, who were the top seed in the Eastern Conference. They one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference.
So that entire narrative that the East is weak is called fake news. It's not true. It's something that is totally made up by ESPN and Charles Barkley on TNT. It's not. The Eastern Conference can't be that weak if the best team in the NBA was from Milwaukee, right? The Eastern Conference is not that weak. There are some bad teams. There's some bad franchises. The Knicks, the Hornets, who are absolutely terrible. Hold on. We need to get into the Hornets, right? I got to talk about this. I'm going to go off on a tangent.
Really?
The Hornets knew they weren't going to pay Kemba Walker the kind of contract he deserved. They knew that. Because at the end of the day, it was only like a couple $1 million difference between what he got from Boston and what he wanted from the Hornets, right? They knew all along they weren't going to pay him. Why didn't they trade him since the All-Star break? Or trade him last year when he was an All-Star? Why would you wait till free agency now to then trade him and act like, oh, well, he was asking for too much money? He wasn't asking for too much money. He's the best player in your franchise's entire history. You pay him what you think he deserves. If you don't think he deserves that, you trade him. I don't like the Terry Rozier for Kemba Walker move, because now you're paying Terry Rozier $58 million over 3 seasons. You're talking about a guy who's never averaged 40%, he's never shot over 40% from the field. Terry Rozier's never shot over 40% from the field, and you're paying him? Nah, come on, man. Yeah. And you want to pay Kemba Walker?
But they needed an all-star to leave it with Kyrie Irving playing in Brooklyn. Boston?
No, Boston's fine. It made sense Boston getting Kemba Walker. I think he fits perfectly what Brad Stevens is doing. I'm talking about the Hornets. That just was a foolish move, but the Hornets have always made foolish moves.
Yeah, the Hornets, they're not going to go nowhere for a long time.
No, they're not.
Again, that's the same thing we talked with the Toronto Raptors before they got a championship.
No, but the Raptors were still making good decisions, and they were investing. At the end of the day, the Raptors paid DeMar DeRozan to stay. They paid Kyle Lowry to stay. This wasn't a situation where like, oh, well, you've been really good for us. We're not going to pay you. There's no team who's ever won a championship under the cap. You have to spend your money. You have to spend your money on your superstar players. You got to keep them. The Hornets are terrible. Michael Jordan, what are you doing?
Well, yeah, Michael Jordan, he was good as a player, but
he's terrible.
A bad owner at the same time.
Absolutely.
But now we got to get to who you think. What matchup would you like to see this season coming up? I mean, the regular season hasn't been out yet, but which regular season matchup would you like to see this season coming up?
It's going to be a lot. I mean, you definitely want to see the Clippers versus the Rockets, the Clippers versus the Lakers versus the Sixers, Kyrie versus Kemba. I think there's a chance for the Celtics and the Nets to really have a real rivalry, just because Kemba is an all-star, Kyrie's a superstar. They play the same position. Because Kyrie's not going to have Kevin Durant this season, a lot of the offense and the focal point is going to be on him. So there's a good chance that their matchups are really high stakes. There's going to be a lot of good matchups, man. A lot. The league's going to be crazy this year. It's going to be a great season. You know who else had a really good offseason too? The Utah Jazz.
They picked up Mike Conley.
Come on. That's what Donovan Mitchell's needed all along. He's needed a backup, not a backup, a backcourt running mate who was comparable to him. Ricky Rubio did a good job, but Ricky Rubio and Mike Conley are not the same type of player.
Utah has the potential to be another Western Conference great. They just haven't brought that out yet.
They just haven't had the offense. And I think now Mike Conley, they have the offense. I think they're definitely a top 4 seed in the Western Conference.
Yeah, and too bad for Memphis. They're not going to be that relevant for a long time.
But they're building a team the right way. Because Ja Morant, I think, will be an all-star. And Jaren Jackson Jr. is really good. I think he'll be an all-star too.
Yeah, you do make a good point.
Yeah.
And you know another player that could be a good All-Star? R.J. Barrett. I mean, even though the Knicks did struck out free agency big time, as we all predicted, they pick up Julius Randle. Stop it. They pick up
Knicks fans.
Taj Gibson. What do you think of those pickups for the New York Knicks?
So you're a Knicks fan, I'm a Net fan. You're talking about picking up Bobby Portis, Taj Gibson, and Julius Randle. We picked up Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant.
That's too one-sided.
Come on, right? So let's not even talk about the Knicks.
They need to get something so they don't come out empty-handed.
So they need a Bobby Portis and Elfrid Payton. That's what the Knicks need.
Julius Randle had the potential to be an All-Star before he got injured.
I actually think Julius Randle was a good pickup for them. I think it's perfectly good. I think he's a young player. He can play kind of some small forward, but he's mainly a power forward. He's versatile. He can handle the ball. He's athletic. I have no problem with them picking up Julius Randle to complement Kevin Knox and R.J. Barrett. At the end of the day, no one was ever going to New York, so they kind of have to get whoever they can get. But I think the Knicks will be okay. I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, they definitely would. I mean, they added some pieces to continue to be consistent, and they're going to be at least 5, if not 10 wins improved from 17 wins this season.
I think they'll be 10 wins improved, yeah.
Yeah, 10 wins improved. At least that I can say much.
And they're going in a good direction.
They can't tank for the NBA draft after what we saw this season. They can't.
No, they can't tank. No more tanking. Tanking is over. Tanking is extinct with the dinosaurs. Teams should not be tanking. And the NBA basically didn't reward any of those tanking teams in the NBA draft at all.
Yeah, we already talked about that a few episodes ago, or the last episode.
Yeah.
So if you want to hear him break down why tanking in the NBA is a bad season, just look back to the last
Tanking
episode.
is dead. Tanking is dead. You hear me, Phoenix? Tanking is dead. Stop it.
Yeah, you're right. But yeah, it's just words can't express how crazy this free agency was.
So you didn't tell me who do you think was the biggest winner of free agency?
The Brooklyn Nets.
Okay. And who do you think is the biggest loser of free agency?
I'm sorry to say, the New York Knicks. Just because they struck out on these guys.
They did strike. Yeah, you're right. They are the biggest losers because they didn't get anybody, and this was their idea. Remember, if you go back to March, James Dolan's on the record saying, "I've spoken to agents, and they're telling me their free agents can't wait to come to play for New York." And I remember hearing that, like, who wants to go play for the Knicks? You're not winning.
Andre Iguodala cursed them, what they said.
Nah, man, they cursed themselves. Here's the thing, right? We're in a generation. This is not like the 1990s where your favorite players used to lose to Michael Jordan all the time, or the 2000s where your favorite players used to lose to the Lakers all the time. We're in an era now, or the Spurs, right? We're in an era now where, number one, all the young great players have won. Kyrie's won, Kawhi's won, KD's won, Steph's won, Clay's, all these guys who are the best players in the sport have won. Now the next tier of players who are great, who haven't won, want to win. Anthony Davis is not going to sit around on the Pelicans losing when there's a chance for him to go somewhere else we can win a championship. Most guys now, Paul George, the same thing. Like, I don't want to keep losing. I want to win championships. I want to play in games that are meaningful. I don't want to spend seasons where, this is a rebuilding season, and rebuilding means we're losing. Rebuilding does not mean that you're tanking. Rebuilding means that you're taking a step back in order to take a step forward. And too many of these organizations, their mentality is, if we're going to rebuild, we're going to press the reset button, and we're going to be terrible. That's not the way to do it.
Yeah,
that's not the way to do it.
And after Blake Griffin, yeah, exactly. One example. After Blake Griffin and Chris Paul left the Clippers, they did not go into rebuilding mode. They did not go into tanking. They got back into the playoffs and the Golden State Warriors. They got 2 games of them.
Yeah.
And one of them was an epic come from behind win in game 2. The largest comeback win in NBA history during the playoffs. And they picked up Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. You got to give it to Los Angeles Clippers. And funny thing is, they're building a new arena in 2022.
So what you see with that is the Clippers were like, you know what? We're not going to be a championship contender with our roster. Let's get rid of Chris Paul. Let's get rid of Blake Griffin, right? But let's build a team that's competitive. Because if we're competitive, we're still competing just to make the playoffs. We're competing to get a higher seed in the playoffs, as opposed to like the Knicks or the Suns, where it's like, you know what? Let's get rid of our good talent just to be bad, to see if we can draft somebody. Nobody wants to hear that. Guys in the NBA now want to win, and they want to play at a high level. So if they're not winning a championship, they want to be able to compete for a championship night in and night out. Nobody wants to be on losing teams no more.
Exactly. This NBA season is going to show you that the NBA season is going to be so competitive. There's so many teams developing and improvement. But don't expect to see the Orlando Magic and Detroit Pistons in the playoffs. I mean, we can expect it, but also don't expect it. I mean,
so who takes their spot?
Washington.
No, John Wall's out for the season. It's not happening. Miami might make it. I think I think Detroit can still make it. I don't know about Orlando. I think Detroit will still make it. So long as when Blake Griffin was healthy last year, he was a great player. He played great. If he's still healthy this season, I think Detroit will make it. And I think Detroit might make a move at some point during the season to solidify their playoff spot.
Yeah. Even Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond duo can actually excel very well in the playoffs if they get a high seed, that is.
Yeah,
because they've had a tough time being competitive against the Milwaukee Bucks in that first round series.
Yeah, they had no shot.
We all knew that was going to happen.
You know what I meant to ask you about? What do you think about Chris Paul going to the Thunder and now being stuck on the Thunder?
No comment. No comment. I mean, what's Chris Paul going to do for the Oklahoma City Thunder?
Nothing. They're stuck with him. I think they thought in taking back his contract and taking him back that there was a market to then move him. And when they got him, they realized, oh wait a minute, nobody wants Chris Paul. They're gonna have to wait till like December 15th when guys who were signed off this offseason can be moved. If I was them, I would look at moving him probably to the Suns or probably the Suns. The Suns need a point guard, and the Suns need somebody who's a veteran. They don't need another young player.
And you know what's crazy? The Knicks were smart to not get him just because of how old this guy is.
And his contract, he's going to be making 40 million when he's 37.
Years old. I'm surprised nobody caught on to how old this man is, as long as he's been playing in the league.
Right.
I really don't know what to tell you, OKC. You're on your own. They're not going to be that great for a while.
Yeah, they're going to be bad for a long time. Look how much talent has passed through their hands. I mean, they've got, 6 guys who are definitely going to be in the Hall of Fame, who they've had in their roster. Chris Paul, Paul George, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Kevin Durant, Serge Ibaka, Victor Oladipo, Reggie Jackson, Jeff Green's been a good player. Like, they've had all this talent, and all they had to show for it was one win in one finals appearance.
Yeah.
Not good.
Not good at all.
Not good at all.
But and now, yeah, another great win. But another interesting fact mentioned. I mentioned earlier that the Clippers are going to have a new arena in the future. What do you think about that?
It's good. They need to establish their own identity and move out of Staples Center. You really can't be your own brand if you're sharing the same arena with your rival. So it's good for them to get their own arena. And I think they're doing things the right way. I think when you look at the 2 biggest markets in New York and LA, there's the grandfather team, meaning the team that's been there and been established, and there's the up-and-coming team, and the Clippers and the Nets definitely are trending in the right direction.
Yeah.
The only difference is the Lakers are also trending in the right direction, and the Knicks are not trending in the right direction.
Yeah, I hate to hear how bad the Knicks are. I mean,
but I'll say this though, I think by them not overpaying for a free agent like they've done previously in the past, it puts them in a situation where now they have to develop the young talent that they have. Like, they have to develop RJ Barrett. They have to see where Kevin Knox goes. They have to see Julius Randle. I think Mitchell Robinson has a lot of potential. The only one of the young players I think is not really good is Frank Nicolina. He needs to go.
Yeah.
He's not.
I don't even know why the Knicks were thinking drafting this man.
It was Phil Jackson and his sabotage job.
Phil Jackson was a sabotage to the Knicks on his own.
Yeah, he definitely did.
I really don't know what to tell you. It's just so much going on. Well, that'll be it with Nothing But That B-Ball Talk podcast. And after this episode, I'm going to be changing it to Nothing But That Sports Talk podcast, where we're not just going to be talking about the NBA, but we're going to be talking about the NFL. And we're going to be talking about baseball. And maybe, well, I don't even know who follows soccer, but when I find somebody that follows soccer and rugby and all that other sports, we'll get them into that too. But I personally, well, I'm more baseball, basketball, and football. I've been watching it since like the mid-2000s. And we all know, well, why don't you give a little bit of background on how long you've been watching basketball?
Background on how long I've been watching basketball? I'm not going to date myself here, but I think I've been watching it for a pretty long time. I'm a bit of a sports person, so I can talk about all different sports. Basketball is my passion. I think football is probably my favorite sport. I follow baseball. I follow soccer to an extent. You know, you can talk about anything. It's sports. Talk about boxing, MMA, whatever. Talk about it.
Yeah, and also, if you want to keep us up, if you want to keep up with my other Nothing But That People Talk content, you can also check out my Nothing But That People Talk on site episodes where I covered the Big Three, Daily Basketball, Rucker Park Basketball Beauties League, and also the 2019 Bowling for Peace game at St. Francis. What are your impressions about all the covers I've done? Because It was a great experience being able to cover all these basketball events.
You've done a great job.
Repertoire.
You've done a great job, man. I'm proud of you. I always tell you that, you know. You always do a great job. Proud of you.
We're going to be expanding onto sports and culture, managing interview players at these sporting events. The future of Nothing But That People Talk is going to be incredible. You will see. And that'll do it. To all the big sports athletes out there, get your head in the game.